How you doing, guys? You know who it is, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. And before we get started on this just nonstop cavalcade of correct opinion and dubious information, I think I should let you know that the only way you will survive what's coming is if you go right now to Amazon and buy the Micro Survival Fishing Kit from RuleTheWasteland.com, because it gives you everything you need to procure fish in a survival situation while weighing only about 55 grams and fitting in the palm of your hand. But enough about me. We're going to talk about what, I don't like to be the first person to talk about any of these things that pop up in the news. Firstly, because I'm very lazy, so I never do anything in time. But also, it gives me a chance to, soak up a little more information on the topics. So they always say if you can't, you got to either be first, be better, or cheat. So I like to do some combination of the second two. So, what everyone's talking about is, of course, the night attack on Ukraine from Russia that involved a U.S. Patriot missile battery. And there's a lot of stuff that I think we can glean from all the information that's been throwing around today, because basically we have the extremes of both sides are usually not correct. There are elements of it when I'm talking about the information that's put out. So I tend to always assume, barring any, conclusive evidence to the contrary, that the actual truth is somewhere in the middle between what the propaganda that both sides are putting out. So in this case, from what we're hearing from the West, even they are putting out that at least one Patriot missile battery was damaged in this attack. Russia's putting out that one or more were destroyed. So the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. That obviously we know that one was at least damaged. I don't think they would put out that one was, that attack was successful at all if it wasn't. Maybe there's a small chance that they would be like, oh no, it hurt us. Hope you don't shoot more of those missiles, and want them to burn them all up. But I really don't think that's the case. And if we've seen anything from Ukraine and the West, it's that their propaganda has been always erring on the side of, exaggerating their successes to the point of just making stuff up completely. So, it's a non-zero chance that they're, actually downplaying their success, but I don't see that as being very realistic. So we know that they're at least damaged. That was put out by Western news sources. As far as I know, the government sources have even said that there was, minor to moderate damage to one of the batteries. But what I want to talk about is more logistics. I'm a logistics man. And, you've heard the whole time. We know that this is a conflict between Russia and NATO, or more specifically between, East and West, between China, Russia, and the clown world forces of the current global hegemony of, central banking, whatever, however you want to look at it. And people tend to look at this from the perspective of, if we could win it all, then it's fine. I don't know if you guys have seen those video games where there are ads where there's like a plank that you're walking down and you have a group of guys, and it says like you have 20 guys and there's a group of 19 coming up, and then it just absorbs it and you have one guy left, and then you win and you keep going. And that seems to be kind of the mindset that a lot of people have regarding a conflict with, China, with Russia, is that if they foresee us as winning in the end, even after a nuclear war or whatever, they're like, whatever, we would win. We would definitely win. And it's like, yeah, so what does winning look like? And I don't think people have thought about the realities of that, and more specifically, the attritional nature of what's actually happening in Ukraine. So, kind of blabbering, but here's an interesting tidbit. The Patriot missile batteries, their cost is somewhere around $1 billion based on my Google Foo searching. That's just the actual battery system itself, from what I can tell. The missiles themselves are somewhere around $3 or $4 million a piece. So, and based on my also not that extensive Google searching, the Kinsall hypersonic missiles, surprisingly, Google's telling me they only cost about $10 million each. That's shocking. Now, we know that that's not all they sent. They sent a bunch of probably other drones, less advanced cruise missiles to try to drain these batteries. But the Patriot batteries have something like 15 or 16 missiles each, if I'm not mistaken. And the video that we've seen about this battery responding to this attack shows pretty much two batteries exhausting their missile supply, meaning not even accounting for the $1 billion battery, is that they spent something like $150 million, somewhere between $140 and $160 million on just the missiles alone. And more surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, but more important, is that according to my Google, as of 2018, and this number might be slightly increased by now, but it says a strategic studies report found that those battalions operated 50 batteries. So there's somewhere around 50 Patriot missile batteries in the U.S. arsenal. 1 or 2 of which have just been destroyed / significantly damaged. So by, what amounts to, I would say, like I said, the Kinzhal missiles are $10 million, but a Yahoo article says a night attack on Ukraine cost Russia at least $120 million. So they spent $120 million to, at the minimum, exhaust $150 million in missiles alone, and potentially, probably, based on our info, severely damage, maybe even destroy a $1 billion missile battery that we only have 50 of, somewhere around there. So that's what people need to realize, is this sort of stuff that's going on. This isn't Iraq, this isn't Afghanistan, this isn't Somalia. This is basically a peer military when it comes to various types of technology and stuff like that. Obviously, they're not as big as us. They're not quite as, as far as their military as a whole, they're not as technologically advanced. But some of the stuff that we don't really have hypersonic missiles in the way that they do. So, do we really have, yes, we could win. It's not guaranteed, but we would probably win in an all-out war with Russia. That's what I would bet on anyway, as long as we were fighting intelligently. But they are structuring to, it seems like, I've always been wondered why they didn't go harder. It's possible that they're not able to, but that doesn't seem to be the case, because they've run out of ammo so many times now, and they're still going. Their manufacturing capacity in country seems to be superior to ours for the basic stuff, at least, like our 155 millimeter artillery shells and things like that, and especially if they have China on their side. And this brings us back into the whole thing with China and Taiwan too. What would happen? Does America have the stomach for, losing an aircraft carrier to a hypersonic missile with 3,000 crew members, U.S. service members dying on it, if we really get into open conflict with China or with Russia or something like that? And just spouting yeah, we would eventually win, that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously it's a significant data point in terms of overall, but do we even have the stomach for that? We don't even have, America currently doesn't even have the stomach for the current loss, basically, in Afghanistan, or all these other fuck-ups that the government has had over the years. And would we really be able to tolerate a draft, which is probably what would be required to get enough people to actually overwhelm Russia? So it's not a situation that we should be itching to get involved in, especially when there's dubious benefits outside of propping up, like I said, the clown world, the global reserve currency, whatnot. So something to think about. $120 million to potentially take out $1.1 billion of a limited, and as far as I know, our most significant air defense options. Yes, there's reports that they've at some point tested a system that has shot down a dummy hypersonic missile or something like that with a laser, but this is not something that is in production. It's not something that's even guaranteed to work consistently. It's certainly not something that we can just field, and I don't even know what the logistical requirements are for a system like that in terms of energy, in terms of portability. Certainly not something that we're going to give to Ukraine. We don't even really have it yet for our own forces. I mean, the technology is always increasing, but this is not just one of the messes that we've gotten ourselves into over the years in these various countries around the world in terms of our military action. It's far more expensive to win, let's put it that way. And we weren't even able to or willing to, let's put it that way. I'm sure we were able to do what would be needed in Afghanistan. If we could actually come out and say, this is what our goal is, this is what it would take to get there, of course we would be able to do that probably, but we weren't even able to stomach the cost or the actions necessary to do that. And then people are just flippantly acting like fighting Russia in open war would be no big deal because we would eventually win, which I vehemently disagree with. And they seem to be very, if I'm correct in my assessment that they're doing this method of warfare on purpose to just attritionally drain Ukraine in the West, it seems to be working really well. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you buy these are on sale like $5 off. They will never be cheaper than that, I promise you, on Amazon till the end of the week. But whenever you're watching this, they're only $19.95 otherwise, and they're still by far the best survival fishing kit on the market because it has everything you need, and it's not some crappy Altoids tin held together with a rubber band or tape or something like that. It's a nice screw top tin that you can use for other things. Fits in a pocket. I don't even have big hands, and it still easily fits in the palm of my hand.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands?
So thanks for listening to my rants, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you soon.